Guys, this is going to be a video on everything I know surrounding the meta of winning. So the first thing is picking the correct base. After a while, you'll develop a sixth sense of which bases are good to take and which ones aren't good to take. But some of this is modulated by perhaps leading in a bad way. For example, there's a way to take Palisade, which is bad, and a way to take Palisade, which is good. And there's a way to take Rhyme Analytics, which is good, and a way to take Rhyme Analytics is bad. And depending on which you do, it could mean the difference between often losing that base and often winning it. For logistics, there's a few things that people don't consider. For example, spawn beacons in combination with ESFs are, to be honest, stronger than Valkyries, but you won't really notice that until you try it yourself. There's two main benefits of using ESFs and spawn beacons over Valkyries. The first one is travel time is about half, and I'm sure you've been in situations where you go to the next point and it's already backcapped, and using scythes or whatever helps to negate that possibility instead of using Valkyries. On top of that, Valkyries can die a little bit easier in my opinion because they're a lot slower. If you use ESF, you can get the big boost in it and Racer, and you probably won't die before you get to the point for the most part, assuming you're using ejection seat. Then when you're at the base, there's two main ways that you want to stay on the base. The first one is you can point hold extremely effectively, and basically without routers you can do pretty well, especially if your outfit has like above 1.5 KD. You probably don't need routers, but if your outfit has below 1.5 KD average, you generally want to use routers because you're going to be having a lot of new players, or you're going to be having a lot of players which are more relaxed, and for those people you need to have routers just for the backup, because the spawn beacons are going to go down, the logistics are going to be a little bit worse, the communication is going to be a bit worse, so you need to have that contingency there just in case for people that need it. There's also specific classes that people should be running if they're trying to point hold. For example, the anti-infantry mana turret for engineer is very strong in combination with the hard light barrier. The hard light barrier is good because it means that your opposition has to jump over the door in order to get in, and whilst they're jumping over the door they essentially can't aim, which makes it extremely easy to kill them. The mana turret's good because there's a low surface area which you can shoot the mana turret guy in order to kill him, in combination with him having a high effective HP assuming you're using the right implants, and also having a good DPS. You then also have the other two classes that most people will run if they're doing point holding, are heavy and medic. For most people they're going to be wanting to run safeguard, and that for most people, the overwhelming majority, that's what you should be running. If you're playing routers, maybe you use avoidance and sensor shield. Also, essentially each faction might have 300 population to use, but how effectively they're used is more important. Because you could even be an underpop, but if you actually have more people which are redeploying and going to the right bases and playing infantry instead of vehicles, you can actually have a higher effective pop. You want to combine this with attacking bases. Essentially, when you attack bases, it means that the opposition can't attack yours. Now, there's a few reasons this is so strong. Number one, the average normal player can spawn on defending bases a lot easier than he can attacking bases, and it requires less coordination. So letting the Zarg players defend bases, and you as a good player or someone who wants to play the meta attacking bases, for the most part would be the most conducive way to win LRs. There's a few reasons as well that attacking bases is very important. One of them is that every time that you attack a base, you have a 50% chance to capture it, in theory. So the more times that you attack bases, instead of just waiting for the enemy to attack yours, it just increases the amount of bases that statistically you're going to capture, which increases the chances of winning the alert. And when you just understand that raw fact, it just makes total sense to focus on attacking bases. The other reason that attacking bases is kind of overpowered is once the opposition has regained the point, if you lose it, they then have to wait that 3 minutes for the timer to tick back down, at which point you can go onto the next base and start the next capture. And you can actually kind of juggle it like that to the point where the enemy can really only have a 1 or 2 minute window to attack a base if there's say only 2 connections on your map. The next thing that's important to win a Lars is actually something that's more macro in scale. Essentially what you want to be trying to do is you want to be encouraging your faction and your outfit to get as good as possible, and you want to basically passively train people. It's just like a statistical thing. If you increase the average skill of your players by 10% overall, it's going to make the game much easier. You can kind of think of it as the lazy way to win alerts without putting in much effort in. Now this might have a big initial cost in terms of time, but once you've got the guides done, it's all going to be passive gains, and it means that you can just passively sit back and just watch things get better, assuming that you have the funnels in place for people to actually find the information. And when I talk about funnels, what I'm talking about is in the outfit message of the day, there should be a link to the guide. When they join the Discord, there should be a link to the guide. In the outfit description, there should be a link to the guide. At every single step, whatever they're looking at, there should be somewhere on that page, some way to, learn more about getting good. Another macro strategy of winning alerts is to do with how active your outfit is. If you have an inactive outfit, you can't really have that big of an impact, so having a high activity outfit is important. And a lot of people go about doing this wrong, and that's a separate video, but essentially you just want to make your outfit as good as possible and make joining easy. There's also unfortunately some things if you're trying to be tactical which you might disencourage, and I used to do this, although I don't anymore for the most part, and it's stuff like disencouraging people from playing in tanks, and it's disencouraging people from playing in aircraft, because essentially both of these don't really have a high impact for the most part. There are some unique chat points in which they are useful. For example, air-to-ground ESFs can sometimes be somewhat strong, but even if you look at the best aircraft players, there's only a few which can get 1.5 kpm. Most of them don't get that high kpm, even as Banshees, so I think it's kind of overrated. On top of this, you also have the tank players, which can be really good at killing enemy Sundays. And if people only did that, where they spawn on a base, they pull a lightning or a mag rider or whatever, they go kill the enemy Sunday, then they redeploy, do it again, that would be how you would effectively use armor. But a lot of people use it in a way that isn't super effective tactically. Another one that people seem to have very confused ideas about is Zarging. Zarging, since the start I've said, isn't actually good. It's actually bad, and this is as someone who runs a very big outfit. I will never Zarg a base. I will never do it. You'll never catch me doing it unless it's the last base that I can capture at the last minute of an alert. Because, basically any base that's over 55% pop, you are basically, all the extra pop that you put on that base is useless. The other thing about population is a lot of the time our outfit can capture bases on 35% pop, 40% pop, 45% pop's very common, and so it's not like you need to overpop these bases in order to capture them. And I think a lot of people rely on Zarging, but it isn't efficient because then that extra pop is doing nothing and they could be go capturing another base, so people really do forget that. Now the way I used to get around this when we used to run bigger platoons is we would have one squad leader per squad sets their own waypoints, and there is no platoon leader. And basically, you might have Alpha go to one base, Bravo go to another, and then maybe Charlie is, going to the next base somewhere else, and it basically makes it a lot more dynamic. The problem with this approach isn't as fun, so we don't do it anymore. In the last 9 months actually we've stopped playing tactically for the most part, and we focused more on having fun. But these are the residual information which I still know about, which I don't necessarily use as much anymore. We'll still do the big ones like training players, and we'll still try to attack bases more than we defend bases, but that's part of mostly just because we find it more fun rather than to win alerts. Some of the time TR might be winning and we might attack NC, or NC might be winning and we might attack TR, and certain outfit leaders and platoon leaders might get mad at us for that. But again, we're just playing for fun these days. But I did want to give you guys this video as something you guys can use if you do want to win. But again, don't get mad at people if they are playing for fun or they're not playing in the way that you want them to. I think that people that are really into tactics might forget that other people are playing for fun, or they may have been leading for years, and at this point for them it may not be as important to win the allot. I also think that some people forget that some people just have different objectives and different things that they want to do, which may not necessarily involve winning. I really do appreciate the comments you guys leave because it helps me build a more realistic picture. So just telling me like if I'm saying something wrong helps me improve, so I do appreciate all comments. Thank you very much guys, have a great day, GG.